Good morning, students. Yesterday we started the lesson directing and we learned about the concept of directing, what is directing. And we also learned that it is through the directing function that the management comes to action. That means the management tells what is to be done and how it is to be done for the achievement of the organizational goals. Unless and until the subordinates working under the manager, they are told how the work has to be performed, what has to be done, where it has to be done, the goals cannot be reached. That is why this function is considered to be an indispensable function, and it has to be carried out properly in the organization, because if proper direction is not given, we see that the work will not be carried out properly, and that will not lead to the achievement of the organizational goals, which is the target of any organization. So today we will be talking about the elements of directing. In directing, we have learned that there are different ways through which direction can be given by the managers in the organization, and those can be considered as the elements: understanding the situation, understanding the circumstances, understanding the needs and expectations of the employees working in the organization. There is need to use proper technique of directing, and those techniques of directing may be different. It may be sometimes in the form of order, sometimes it may be in the form of instructions, sometimes it may be in the form of counseling, sometimes there might be motivation, sometimes a manager may put himself as a successful leader and influence the subordinates or the you may say employees working under him. Sometimes effective communication, that also helps, sometimes proper guidance or supervision. So there can be different ways through which direction function can be performed in the organization after analyzing the situation, circumstances, needs of the employees to whom the direction has to be given to perform the work. So on the whole, we can see that the elements of directing that has been put together in 4 parts. That means there are 4 elements of directing, basically 4 elements. The first is supervision, second is motivation, third is leadership, and fourth is communication. So in our today's lecture, we will be talking about the first element of directing, and that is supervision. What is supervision and the role of the supervisor or the functions of the supervisor, we are going to talk today, which is there in your syllabus. Let us see. When we say supervision, now the first element of directing, this word supervision, it has been derived from 2 words. These 2 words are, first is super and another is vision. Super means best and vision means view. So the exact meaning of the word supervision means best view. Best view of the work, best view of the subordinates who are working under a manager. That is what is supervision. So we can say that supervision is maintaining the best view possible of the work of subordinates and guiding them properly. When the view of the work is taken by the superior can guide the subordinates in the right direction. In supervision, we always see that there is face-to-face contact between the superior and his subordinates. Supervision is generally carried out by the lower level managers in the organization, where we see that the supervisor is directly in contact with the workers. So he has face-to-face interaction, and that face-to-face interaction always helps the supervisor to observe the work carried out by his subordinates working under him, so that he can have the best view possible of the work and guide the work in the right direction. So on the whole, we can define supervision as a process of monitoring the routine work of one's subordinates and guiding them properly. When we say supervision, it is a process of monitoring. Monitoring means overseeing the work of the subordinates by the superior and guiding them properly towards achievement of organizational goals. The term supervision is understood basically in two ways. First, as an element of direction, and second, as a function performed by supervisor at operative level of management. This has to be kept in mind, because we are learning about the concept of supervision, and when we talk about what is supervision, always supervision is understood in two ways. First, as an element and of direction function, and second, as a function which is performed by the lower level managers. So as an element of direction function, we see that every manager in the organization supervises his or her subordinates. We are talking about element of direction. In this sense, supervision is a process of overseeing what is being done by the subordinates and giving instructions to them to ensure optimum utilization of resources to achieve the work targets. So as an element of direction, each and every manager working in the organization, manager is someone who manages, we have learned. That means he has subordinates working under him. So as an element, we see that the manager has to oversee the work of his subordinates working under him and giving proper instructions from time to time, so that the resources available in the organization can be properly utilized towards achievement of organizational goals. Now, as a function, this function is performed by, supervision function is performed by the supervisor, and supervisor is, we have already learned, is a lower level management position. In the hierarchy, management hierarchy, supervisor lies at a position which is operative level, or also called lower level management position. So as a function performed by the supervisor, we see that supervisor is directly related with the workers, because under supervisors are the workers. That means the non-managerial staff. Up till the supervisory level, there is always managerial staff. Levels of organization is divided into two parts, managerial levels and non-managerial levels. We have earlier also learned. And when we say managerial, that means top level, middle level and lower level. Lower level management, under lower level management comes the supervisors. and below supervisors are the non-managerial staff, and non-managerial staff means the workers. So supervisors, they are directly in touch with the workers. That is why their function becomes very, very important for the organization, because they are the connecting link between the management and the workers. So their position becomes very important in the organization. So understanding the concept of supervision, we will try to understand the functions, the various functions which is performed by the supervisor in the organization, which is very, very important. The first function is function of a supervisor. Supervisor facilitates control. Now the question arises, how? Always in such types of explanation, how supervisor facilitates control and whom does he control? So we have seen that supervisor controls the work which is carried out under him by his subordinates. How he carries out, how he controls that work? By monitoring the progress of the work. Regular monitoring of the work is done by the supervisor. Once regular monitoring of the work is done, we see that the supervisor keeps a check on how the work is being performed and tries to see that the work is being performed as per the standards. If there is any deviation from the standards, he tries to minimize the effect of that deviation by taking corrective action immediately, so that there can be proper remedial action taken and the work is carried out as per the requirement of the organization. And in this way we see that the supervisor has effective control or facilitates control over the work and his subordinates working under him. So first function. The second function, optimum utilization of resources. Now we see that the resources, they are always scarce in the organization. For the resources to be optimally utilized, always the supervisor sees that whatever physical, material or human resources are existing in the organization, they are put to best use. How can they be put to best use? By seeing that the quality and the quantity as per the needs of the organization is maintained, the wastages are reduced. So he tries to see the best possible use of the different types of resources with the help of the human resources working under them, by guiding and instructing them properly, so that the resources can be put to maximum use and wastages can be minimized. Third is maintenance of discipline. In an organization, we see that when the supervisor keeps on checking the work regularly from time to time in the organization, each and every subordinate working under a supervisor also feels the responsibility of performing the work and giving their maximum, whatever they are capable of. And in this way, we see that discipline is automatically maintained. If each and every employee working in the organization feels that their work is given due importance by their supervisor, who is regularly monitoring, solving their problems, and keeping a strict watch on the work in progress, we see that discipline automatically comes and every subordinate tries to perform as per the orders and instructions of his superior. And in this way, we see that the terms which is required for the fulfillment of the organizational goals automatically is served and the discipline is maintained. Then comes feedback. Now we see that once there is face-to-face interaction between the superior, the supervisor, and the subordinates, that means the workers, always the feedback is given by the workers about the work, their problems, their grievances, the policy decisions of the management, which is very, very important for the management to know how effective has been their decisions and how far the employees, or you may say the workers who have to perform the work, are satisfied with the decisions, because they are those who have to carry out those decisions effectively towards the achievement of the organizational goals. So the feedback is received by the supervisor, and that feedback is further given back to the higher level management, so that the improvement in the decisions can be brought about as per the suggestions, advice, or if any kind of problem and grievances or complaints are there, that can also be sorted out to have smooth transition of work towards the achievement of organizational goals. Then comes improves communication. Communication should always be effective in the organization. For that, we see that the supervisor always acts as a connecting link between the management and workers. On one hand, whatever decisions are taken by the management, that is forwarded to the workers, because the supervisor works according to whatever instructions and decisions and orders he gets from his superiors, and tries to see that the workers, they perform the work as per the requirement of the management in the organization. On the other hand, we also see that the feedback received from the workers, that is also taken up by the supervisor, and it is provided to the higher level authorities, so that better decision making can take place in the organization and there can be free flow of communication in the organization. And if there is free flow of communication, we see that the things are sorted out and there is always the smooth flow of work in the right direction, and that always helps in the achievement of the organizational goals. And the last point is it improves motivation of whom? Of workers working under them. How? By dividing the work of the workers in such a way that each and every worker is given the work which makes that work important for him, and the worker starts feeling that the supervisor has given him important work which can certainly play a very active role in the achievement of the organizational goals. So, division of work in a proper way by the supervisor amongst the workers in the organization and making each and every work important in the organization motivates them to perform the best. And also when instructions and problems which they face is encountered and sorted out and solved immediately by the supervisor, paying special attention to their problems, it boosts their morale from inside and incites them, excites them, and encourages them to perform best towards the achievement of the organizational goals. So in this way, we see that supervision, it is considered as a very important element in the directing function, without which the work cannot be carried out smoothly in the organization and as per the requirements of the organizational goals. It is with the supervision function that the work targets, they are met out or they are accomplished successfully and the organization achieves its target effectively and efficiently. With this, the first element of directing we have completed today, and in our next lecture we will be talking about the other elements of directing. Till then, thank you all of you.